In the top stories, Jahan King's mother and her boyfriend remanded to Dodds. Retrenchments continue at the Bridgetown Port, and 2 more Barbadians qualify for the Rio Olympics. Welcome to Nation News for Monday, April 25th, 2016. I'm Natasha Beckles. The mother of a 6-year-old boy and her boyfriend were remanded to Dodds Monday when they appeared in court, charged in connection with the death of Jahan King. 26-year-old Lasanta Katrina Gill and Dwayne Alistair Marshall, 35, of Jackson St. Michael, were not required to plead to the manslaughter charge when they appeared before Magistrate Christy Cuffy Sargent in Criminal Court Number 2. Ms. Gill and Mr. Marshall were remanded until May 23rd after the prosecutor objected to bail, even as defense attorney Samuel Legay pleaded with the magistrate not to be swayed by the mood of the country. Grandmothers Margaret Gill and Ina Brown were also in court and sat with their heads down while the charges were read. Jahan died on June 29th last year after being taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by ambulance. An autopsy revealed his death was a result of blunt force trauma to the chest and abdomen. About 10 workers from the Barbados Port Inc. will be leaving the company at the end of this week. Word of this comes from CEO David John Marie, who says it's part of an ongoing retrenchment exercise which started 2 years ago. More than 100 people have left the company since then. Mr. John Marie said the Barbados Workers Union has been involved in the process, which has been free of industrial unrest.
It was done in the spirit of cooperation, and we have concluded the exercise. I don't think anyone in Barbados has had any issues. And I'm sure the General Secretary will speak more to this, or perhaps on May Day. I can't speak to her agenda, but we have done well. A number of persons have left the organization by the route of attrition, voluntary separation, and voluntary severance. And a few will be leaving by the end of this week by means of involuntary separation. But for the most part, we have reorganized the operations and brought it quite into the 21st century. And that has gone a long way towards streamlining the operations of the Bridgetown Port.
Mr. John Marie was speaking on Monday during a ceremony to commission the recently expanded berth number 5. The expansion gives the Bridgetown Port increased capacity for handling both cargo and pleasure vessels. The berth is equipped with a new state-of-the-art crane, which will take some of the load off the much smaller one from the late 1980s. The new crane and the other equipment at berth 5 form part of the port's master plan, which was rolled out in 2011. The total cost of the project is $115 million. Drought conditions have impacted the supply of milk from local farmers to the Pine Hill Dairy. However, Operations Manager Lorenzo Roach says the situation has not reached the stage to cause major worry.
When you're working with animals in an industry, lack of water and drought would always have an impact on those animals. And we've seen that impact through the supply to the dairy. How we've been able to manage that is working closely with those farmers, understanding what their limitations are, what the supply volumes will be. We've been able to put measures in place at the dairy to balance that. Now, we are not where we would want to be in terms of the supply, but we expect, and knowing what the farmers are doing, we expect that supply to grow, especially with also the new introduction of the sex. That may take a few more years, but we expect that the farmers will continue to invest in their herd and the lands and make sure that the supply is more reliable.
Mr. Roach was speaking following a church service at the St. Barnabas Anglican Church to celebrate the dairy's 50th anniversary. During the service, he reflected on the company's journey, saying it has been challenging but rewarding. He said Pine Hill will continue its plans to grow its market and cement its presence in the region. The Ministry of Education will soon be introducing a new way of teaching math and science to children. The program will be rolled out for the first time when the first of 6 Maria Holder Nursery Schools opens in Gall Hill, Christchurch. Chief Education Officer Karen Best made the disclosure during a recent tour of the school.
This school will be the pilot of a new way of introducing the science and mathematics for these children. We've gone to, the minister and I went to Washington for a consultation looking at early childhood education, and we are going to be rolling out the curriculum differently at this school You're going to hear more about it because the children will be exposed to the mathematical and science concepts very early. And therefore, this school should be shining very brightly very soon. So you'll hear more about that later.
The school is expected to open in September and will cater to 150 students. Education Minister Ronald Jones said 102 children are already registered. An 11-member trade mission from the United Kingdom is in Barbados to explore business opportunities. The group is made up primarily of consultants or suppliers of goods and equipment. Ahead of formal discussions with public and private sector representatives, the delegation was introduced during a reception on Sunday. British High Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago, Tim Stew, said the mission comes at a time when Britain is moving to mark a new chapter in its relations with the Caribbean.
This trade mission welcomes delegates from 9 British companies which specialise in project development. So each of them, Atkins, Crown Agents, IMC, Interex, Maybe Bridge, Mott MacDonald, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ryder Levitt Bucknell and Woodward Commodities, each are keen to partner with the government and private sector to develop infrastructure projects, perhaps to be funded by the new fund. But they're equally keen to learn about upcoming development projects generated by donor organisations, and then to work with local partners, matching their quality, innovation and expertise to the infrastructure projects in the local market for the benefit of all.
In sport, 2 more Barbadian athletes have met the qualifying standard for the 2016 Rio Olympic Games. Hurdler Tia Adena Bell and sprinter Burkhart Ellis hit the marks in the 400 meters hurdles and 200 meters respectively. Bell ran 55.82 seconds and Ellis 20.36 seconds, both personal best times. They will join Sade Williams, who has qualified the 200 and 400 meters, as well as Akila Jones, who has hit the mark in the heptathlon, 100-meter hurdles, high jump, and long jump. And finally, a Texas lawyer upset that he wasn't given a cup of soup during a recent meal has threatened to sue a restaurant owner if he is not reimbursed $2.25. Dwayne Downing is also seeking $250 in attorney fees for the time spent drafting a letter sent to the owner. He said the soup was listed on the menu as part of a Saturday special and the restaurant offered no discount or substitution when it ran out. However, the restaurateur says the menu makes clear that the soup comes with a meal while supplies last. And that's Nation News for Monday. For more news, log on to nationnews.com and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Remember to pick up your Daily Nation on Tuesday or subscribe to our e-paper. Thank you so much for joining us.